Obviously, it's subjective because, it's music and it's opinion-based, but, some things.
Uneducated gangster rapper, that's all she could.
For years, the Carters have stood as the gold standard of celebrity family perfection. Flawless, composed, untouchable. From gala carpets to private island escapes, Beyoncé and Jay-Z have curated an empire of glamour and grace, anchored by their 3 children, all rarely seen but deeply mythologized. Blue Ivy, the heir apparent, already commands stages and camera lenses. Rumi, the younger daughter, recently began emerging from the shadows with cameos at high-profile events. But, sir, the third-born twin? Silence, absence. And now, if the whispers are true, a secret that's been building behind those ironclad PR walls might finally be cracking wide open.
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Because according to a woman who once had keys to the kingdom, the Carters' former nanny, Sir, is not just quiet, as the family claims. He's allegedly living with severe specialized needs outside of the family home. The source, who claims to have witnessed firsthand what the public never sees, says Sir is on the autism spectrum, with his condition described as so challenging that Beyoncé and Jay-Z were forced to place him in full-time care, away from their daily lives. The word being thrown around behind the scenes, abandonment. A soft word for a harsh image. A 7-year-old boy tucked into luxury, yes, but separated, managed, and hidden from a world built to worship his family's image. Now, we've seen the lengths to which the Carters will go to protect their narrative, but this alleged concealment hits a different nerve, especially when you consider what's long been murmured about the twins' birth itself. Remember 2017, Beyoncé's dramatic emergency C-section? Toxemia, swelling, ANICU, stay for both newborns. And then total radio silence. No public medical disclosures, no statements. Just that now iconic Instagram photo, floral backdrop, flowing veil, both babies swaddled like royalty. But beneath the filters, those early complications might not have been just a passing scare. Some in the medical community are now drawing attention to the potential link between perinatal trauma and later developmental disorders. Could Sir's condition have its roots in that silent, sterilized hospital room?
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
We're not the only ones asking questions. The public's been clocking the breadcrumbs for years, while Blue Ivy parades across stages and red carpets with the poise of a seasoned icon, and Rumi begins to dip her toe into the family's polished pageantry. Sir's absence grows louder. At the 2024 Super Bowl, Jay-Z was seen posing proudly with both daughters. No sign of Sir. Not backstage, not even in the background of paparazzi shots. Fans flooded the comment sections. Where is Sir? Why is he never around? Some tried to shrug it off as privacy. Others weren't so convinced. And then came the rumor that finally made the whispers feel chilling. Sir is not just out of sight. He's allegedly living in a luxury care facility tucked away under a veil of NDAs and discreet medical contracts. We're not talking some bleak institution here. Sources say this is a hyper-exclusive white glove center with round-the-clock therapists, security details, and private education programs. But even with the best amenities money can buy, the word insiders keep circling back to is isolation. He's out of the family unit. One former staffer reportedly said, he gets visits, but he doesn't live at home. That, to many, doesn't sound like care, it sounds like quiet removal. The branding, of course, keeps pushing its own version of events. Beyoncé's new beverage line, dubbed Sir Davis, sparked fan speculation that she was sending some kind of subtle tribute to her son. But others noticed the odd phrasing in her press release, focusing on her great-grandfather, Davis, the moonshiner, while Sir's name felt tacked on, barely acknowledged. And then there was that quote Beyoncé gave a few years ago, one that didn't make much sense until now. She said her son would have to face a cruel world and that she wanted to shield him from it. At the time, it read like a poetic platitude, but in light of what we're hearing now, it reads differently. What kind of cruelty was she alluding to? What did she already know? And when?
Beyoncé and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them.
Because if the former nanny's claims hold any truth, then this isn't just a private family matter. This is a calculated, multi-year suppression of a child's reality, a rewriting of his existence to fit a narrative that leaves no room for imperfection. And the impact is no longer confined to whispers in salon chairs or cryptic posts on fan forums. It's spilling into interviews, press events, even product launches. Beyoncé's mother, Tina Knowles, casually remarked that Sir is very smart and into numbers, but also emphasized how quiet he is and how different his interests are from his sisters. She painted him as introverted, reclusive, more interested in electronics than the spotlight. That may have been an innocent observation, or it may have been the closest the family has ever come to publicly acknowledging what they've kept so tightly under wraps.
Jay-Z new video with Nas and DJ Khaled is a scene where it's checkerboards. These are all occult Satanists.
Either way, it hasn't stopped the rumors from mutating. Some industry insiders are going even further, alleging that Sir's facility isn't just about care, it's about containment, that the boy's behaviors, challenges, or reactions are incompatible with the Carters' controlled, curated public life, that his presence at certain events would be too disruptive, too revealing, and so instead of adjusting the narrative adjusted him. Behind gates, behind contracts, behind silence, and yet the silence isn't holding like it used to. Not with former employees breaking confidentiality, not with West's wild but pointed social media tirades, some of which, despite their chaos, may have inadvertently echoed deeper truths about what's been hidden behind the Carter brand. Even his repulsive, deleted posts raise eyebrows not just for their cruelty, but for the confidence with which he insinuated something was off with the twin. What did he know, or what had he heard whispered across backstages and industry meetings?
What's up, what's up? This is Beyonce on the red carpet with one of the hottest female artists out here. Miss Aaliyah, how you doing, girl?
It's so good to see you.
We don't know for certain, but we do know this. When you start stringing the clues together, the hush-hush birth complications, the vanishing public appearances, the cryptic comments from family, and now the alleged full-time care arrangement, something doesn't add up. Not with the image we've been sold, not with the brand we've been fed, and especially not with the mother who built her empire on the message of visibility, pride, and power. Because hiding a child, no matter how gilded the walls, always leaves a shadow. And right as the questions about Sir reached a simmering boil, Beyoncé dropped a new business venture, seemingly out of nowhere, Sir Davis, brand steeped in Southern legacy and mysterious timing. Officially, the name was meant to honor her great-grandfather, a moonshiner during Prohibition. But many fans immediately noticed the other half of the branding, Sir. Coincidence or an intentional pivot? The rollout felt deliberate, almost too slick, debuting in perfect harmony with the growing online buzz around Sir's prolonged absence. We're supposed to believe this was just a sentimental tribute to her roots. But if you ask around in the branding world, they'll tell you that this smelled more like narrative redirection than nostalgia. When the rumors around Sir's condition gained traction, Beyoncé didn't comment. She launched a legacy product.
There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
And let's be clear, Sir's name had barely been invoked in public for years. Suddenly, it's etched on bottles and plastered across marketing campaigns, framed with sepia-toned storytelling and carefully chosen quotes about confidence and family heritage. Some branding consultants suspect the goal wasn't just to generate sales, it was to control search results. When you Google Sir Carter, what do you want to see first? Speculation about autism? Or a premium beverage line backed by Moet Hennessy? A digital smokescreen dressed up as a family passion project. And behind the marketing magic, one question still lingers. Where's the boy himself?
I can only say as a father that I hope I instill with them the values that they would want to look for in a man. And I think I did when Beyonce wrote on her, I think it was her first album, maybe it was the second one, the song Daddy, that she hoped that she found someone just like her daddy.
The deeper we dig into where he might be, the darker it gets. The facility where Sir is allegedly staying, an elite developmental care center operating far outside LA's glittery zip codes, is said to enforce a strict, almost militarized level of confidentiality. We're talking ND as for janitors, no cell phones past reception, even mail screened before it reaches the children. But sources familiar with the center say that all the PR gloss can't fix what's rotting inside. Staff turnover is high, burnout is constant. And that's where the cracks start to form. Because when underpaid caretakers feel used and disposable, stories leak. And one of those leaks, we're told, included a disturbing detail. Sir doesn't just live there temporarily. The arrangement was built for permanence. That claim is backed by a far more unsettling piece of the puzzle. Something financial buried deep in sealed court records and whispered through legal channels. A private trust fund, created exclusively for Sir. Multiple sources close to the family's financial circle insist that Beyoncé and Jay-Z have established a massive, multi-million-dollar fund earmarked for their son's lifelong care. Not college, not inheritance. Care. Round the clock, medically overseen, off-site living. One insider who claims to have reviewed early drafts of the trust agreement said the language made one thing painfully clear: the boy was not expected to rejoin the family home in any traditional way. In essence, the Carters have built a future that plans for Sir's absence, not his inclusion. But while Sir is hidden from view, Rumi has become a focal point of the Carters' public-facing strategy, appearing at concerts, in backstage videos, and occasionally during red carpet moments. Yet even in these highly choreographed appearances, there have been brief, unedited glimpses that hint at a more complex reality. Observers have noted that during Beyoncé's 2023 Renaissance World Tour, Rumi was sometimes seen swaying repetitively side to side or blinking rapidly while covering her ears, behaviors some autism specialists recognize as forms of self-regulation or stimming. They're subtle, easy to overlook, but for those familiar with the signs, they stand out. And they challenge the narrative of perfect poised performance that the Carter machine has spent years polishing. What makes Rumi's presence even more telling is how tightly choreographed her appearances have become. She's rarely caught in wide shots, often shielded by bodyguards or kept close to her father's side. When she was filmed in the crowd at the 2024 Super Bowl, camera operators only lingered for seconds, despite fan interest. The footage that does make it to the public often feels unusually curated, quick cuts, tightly framed, with her movements seemingly edited down to maintain continuity with the Carter brand. But fans who've watched closely have noticed inconsistencies, moments where Rumi appears overstimulated, avoiding eye contact, mouthing words to herself, or tapping her hands against her thighs rhythmically. These aren't signs of a camera-hungry performer. They're markers of a child navigating an environment that may be too loud, too bright, too public.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's filled with gangsters.
Some now wonder if Rumi's inclusion in these public events is truly about giving her a voice, or if it's just another form of image management. Is she there because it helps normalize her within the family's narrative? Or because keeping her close makes it easier to manage any behavior that might raise eyebrows? Sources close to the family's former entourage claim that Rumi's participation in public outings is always preceded by hours of planning, rehearsal-style walkthroughs, staff instructions, noise reduction gear on standby. One former assistant allegedly described the prep process as more like tour staging than parenting. That framing alone raises questions about whose comfort is truly being prioritized. There's also a growing discussion about the psychological toll this double life might take, not just on Rumi, but on the siblings as a whole. While Blue Ivy is praised for her discipline and poise, and Rumi is ushered into spaces that reward compliance with spectacle, Sir's alleged condition leaves him excluded altogether. The contrast couldn't be sharper, and it reinforces the idea that even among siblings raised in luxury, there is a quiet internal hierarchy shaped by how well they can fit into the family's carefully branded narrative. In that light, Rumi's appearances stop looking like joyful bonding moments and start to resemble quiet performances, moments crafted more for the comfort of the audience than the child on stage.
Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
This tension between visibility and control, inclusion and projection, is where the Carter dynasty's glossy image begins to fray. Because if Rumi is indeed living with high-functioning autism and her public presence is being filtered through a lens of perfection, then the family's efforts to humanize her may actually be reinforcing the very silence they claim to resist. In trying to show the world a normal family, they may be sidelining the real and raw experiences of their children. And that, more than any tabloid headline, is what lingers in the air. A haunting sense that behind every calculated photo op lies a reality far more fragile and far less seen.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious past.
And yet, somehow, Ye knew. Or at least, that's what he wants us to believe. His vulgar rant targeting the twins wasn't just disgusting, it was oddly specific. Most dismissed it as yet another Ye meltdown. But what if it was something else? People forget just how close Ye once was to the Carters. They toured together, created together, vacationed together. He's been inside their homes. He's spoken with their staff. And if those whispers are true, if Ye really did get his hands on a sliver of inside information about Sir's condition and his placement, it would explain the venom. Not just trolling, not just envy, a calculated blow aimed at the heart of a family that exiled him. a former confidant, now using their darkest truth as ammunition. And for once, the chaos Ye unleashed might have pointed to something the family couldn't spin away. Because here's the part no one wants to say out loud. If Sir's condition is real, and this arrangement is permanent, then what does that say about the family dynamic we've been sold? Publicly, Beyoncé and Jay-Z have built their empire on the foundation of family. They've won awards holding hands with their children. Their brand is unity, black, excellence, generational wealth with matching outfits. But if the allegations are true, if their son is being raised outside their home, seen only in glimpses, supported with money but removed from their day-to-day life, then what we're looking at isn't just a cover-up, it's a manufactured fantasy. A pageant of perfection designed to distract from an uncomfortable reality that even the most powerful couple in music may be quietly crumbling behind closed doors.
Really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over and over?
And if one staffer cracked under pressure, if one former nanny started whispering the truth, who else is next? Because secrets this big don't stay buried forever, not in this digital age, not with former friends turning to enemies and billionaires getting sloppier with their firewall. The cracks are widening, the image is warping, and those who've spent years protecting the Carter silence are starting to question the cost of staying quiet. Sir is no longer just a name, he's a symbol of everything this family is desperately trying to hide. So now we ask you, if this is what's been happening behind the gates of the Carter dynasty, what else don't we know? Is the world ready to confront the truth about its most iconic family? Drop your thoughts below because this story is far from over. Protect your peace and stay curious. Until next time, we're watching.